Hey, I'm Jess Birkin. I am the founder of Hack Your Practice, a project that is designed to get lawyers to try new things. And one of the new things that I want to talk with you about today is how to more easily automate things in your life or your law practice by using Zapier. So, what the hell is Zapier is something you might be asking yourself. Zapier is this website. It's basically, if you think about it as a connection tool, it connects literally hundreds of different applications that you already use every day and connects their sort of like back end guts. So that's called an API. It connects by the different applications API. To send information between one application that you use all the time to another application you use all the time. And in this way, you can create really cool automations that make your life easier, make your law practice work more smoothly, make you look more professional, and save you time and money. So here you can see I am on the Zapier.com homepage or the apps page, and this is a really comprehensive list of just all of the applications that Zapier has available. I'm sure you're going to see some that are familiar to you and lots that are not familiar to you. So as we move through here, every social media tool, every web chat tool, your QuickBooks, your Xero, LinkedIn, PayPal, Microsoft Office, Excel, Constant Contact, MailChimp, ActiveCampaign, all the things that you use in your business are right here. Even like form fillers, WooForms, FormStack. I mean, I could spend 10 minutes just listing off apps that are in here. So as you can see, there are a ton, and there's no way that you're not already using something that's in Zapier, okay? So now that you've seen sort of, how vast this list is, let's take a little look at how it works. Zapier has a really great interface here where you can sort of pick and choose different apps that you use. So who knows if something's in here, right? So when I'm considering subscribing to a new cloud service, let's say I'm thinking about using an email list to do marketing. I'm going to come into Zapier before I even subscribe, and I'm going to look and see if it's accessible through this platform, because I know that if it's accessible here, that means that I'm going to be able to connect it with all of the other things that I use. So for instance, in my law firm, I use Clio, and here is Clio, right? And in my firm, I also use Slack, which is a chat message. So if I just pick Clio, here are a lot of suggestions that it has for how to automate things that come into Clio. Now, maybe you used Google Suite for your G Suite for your email. So wouldn't it be great if you use labels in Gmail to automatically create a label from a new matter in Clio so that you can tag all of your emails related to that matter? Or if you add a new contact in Clio, you could add that person, that contact, to a MailChimp mailing list so that they get your newsletter automatically. This just takes out those little mundane, detailed work that we all hate to do, right? And so this is not total rocket science. It's very simple. It's very basic. And some of these things you might think, oh, well, who cares? That takes 10 seconds. But you know what? 10 seconds 50 times a day adds up to a lot. And when you're doing it, that's lawyer time. That's very expensive time. And if it's something that you're paying an assistant to do, their time is also expensive. And would you rather pay, 2 cents to Zapier to connect everything with a free account or a paid account? Or would you rather, spend $25 an hour having your paralegal or your assistant do that for you? So over time, these savings do really add up, and they just make everything run easier and more professional. At first, it's a little bit daunting to try and figure out what you should pick to connect in Zapier. So I really recommend just starting with a free account. You get up to 5 free Zaps that you can set up, and just start playing with it. I'll give you a look at my dashboard. This is my dashboard where I have all of my Zaps. And so as you can see, I have quite a few here, and they don't do anything earth-shattering, any one of them, but they do save me a lot of time. Now, the green ones are turned on, and here you can see these are turned off. So the ones that are turned off are sort of like ideas or things that I'm not sure if I want it yet, or I haven't quite figured out how I'm going to do it, or if it's important, but they're just things that when I have a task that I keep repeating, or I think, gee, it would be great if this somehow calculated a piece of data from somewhere else, I instantly now just think, oh, I bet I could make a Zap for that. And then I come here and I start playing around with it. And when I have time, I will finish it, finesse it, and turn it on. So it's okay to have things that you try that aren't used. And in the beginning, if you had up to 5, that would help you just kind of get a taste for it, get going, and it's a very low risk way to get started because it's a free account. So I think one of the best ways to show how Zapier works is to just go ahead and create a Zap. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. When you want to make a Zap, you just click on this button that says Make a Zap right there. Now, the first part of making a Zap is choosing a trigger app. So for the Zap that I'm going to make for you today, I think that every business owner knows the struggle, and every lawyer knows the struggle of adding contacts, right? You get someone's business card, you get an email from someone, you need to save that contact information, and we've all had that issue where a potential client emails us and then we haven't really added them to our contacts yet, and so now it's like, oh yeah, how do I get a hold of that person? I need to go find their old email and then copy the email address and then add them, and what was their last name? Oh, wouldn't it be great if that just happened automatically and you didn't have to think about it anymore? So the Zap I'm going to make for you today is using my Acuity scheduling account, and it's going to create an Outlook contact from the data that comes in on Acuity. So I'm going to say up here in the top where it says name your Zap, I'm going to call this create new Outlook contact. And then I need to choose a trigger app. So right here is where I'm going to enter my list of, choose from any hundreds of things. So I'm going to pick Acuity because I'm a big fan of online scheduling, and I already use my Acuity account to schedule potential client consults and new coffee appointments and things like that. So these folks are already, when they register for my online scheduling tool, when they set up their appointment, they're already providing their first name, last name, a phone number, and their email. So I'm already getting that information. I'm just not putting it in the place where I need it later. So this Zap is actually going to help me get the information that I'm already getting somewhere else, and instead of me cutting and pasting and taking the time and having to remember, it's just going to automatically create that contact card in my Outlook. So here you can see I have lots of things to choose from to trigger this to run. I am going to go with a new appointment. Now, if I were doing something else, I could have something happen when an appointment is canceled or have something happen when an appointment is rescheduled, but I'm just going to go with a new appointment for today. And I'm just going to click save. I just clicked save and continue. So for each step, you just click save and continue. It's very easy. Now, I've already connected my account to this. Since I'm already connected with Acuity, I'm going to just click test, and that just makes sure that it's working. It's pretty obvious that it's working. It says success. Let's say I had, multiple Acuity accounts or my assistant's Acuity account. Megan, maybe I want to connect Megan's Acuity account. I could click right there on connect an account, and it would bring up this other window to grant access. I'm not doing that today, but just so you know, that's just how easy it is. If you just look, username, password, allow, or deny, you can do this. It's not that hard. All right, so now I'm going to press save and continue. And here we have the set up the options. Okay, so the options are the next step. So you can see it just walks us through what app, what's the trigger, whose account is it connected to. Now we're going to set up these options. All right, so what I'm going to do is just click on this drop-down menu right here. And now here it's giving me all of my options. Now it says this is optional, so I could limit it to, let's say, for me, all of my online, scheduling, I've got coffee, I've got phone call meetings, I've got different consultations, I've got all kinds of stuff, right? So I could just limit it to startup consultations. But because I'm trying to collect as many new contacts as I can, I'm going to leave this blank. So every new appointment is going to come through this filter. Now, another option it provides to me is calendars. So Acuity connects to my calendar. I could have it look like, let's say I had a law firm trial dates calendar and I only wanted to pull data from that calendar for some reason. I could make it select that. In this case, again, we're just looking for the contact information, so I don't want to limit it at all. I want to get every new contact that comes in that I care about. So now I'm going to click continue. I'm not choosing any of these options, but I could if they were relevant. Okay, so now it says, if you have not done anything in Acuity lately, please go do that so we have a sample. Now, I know that my Acuity account is pretty active, so I'm sure that there's going to be some samples for it to pull in. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on this load in samples. All right, so now it's pulled in samples now that I've connected my account. And the reason it does that is because sometimes some of the data that it pulls in might not be relevant, or you might have filters like it wouldn't run if this happened. So it gives you 3 options to choose from. I just went and made myself a fake appointment so that no one's privacy would be compromised. And here we can see my fake appointment with my fake client's name, fake client's phone number. So this looks great, and this is going to be good for us to test with, right? So I'm going to leave that sample there, and then I'm going to click continue, and we're going to keep going into our next step. So the first thing we do is the trigger, right? This says trigger right here because you have to have a starting moment. This is what says, okay, let's do this. Now, the next thing you need is an action. So it's like, all right, you triggered me. Now, what do you want me to do? So we are actually going to look for Office 365 because I want to create a contact, and at my firm, I use Outlook, right? So now if I were using G Suite, I would pull up Gmail instead. And here are the different options when I pull up my Office 365. I've got create a contact, send an email, create an event on the calendar, and I use all of those things for different automations. But for this one, since I'm having every new appointment that comes through, I want it to find the contact because some people are already in the system and I don't want to create duplicate contacts. So this says it's going to find an existing contact, and if it doesn't exist, it's going to create one for me, which is exactly what I want to do. So now I'm going to just hit save and continue after choosing that option. Now here's where you can see I've connected multiple accounts to Zapier. So my office manager, Megan, her account is here and I am here. If I wanted to connect a new account, I would just simply click on this button here. In this case, I'm going to use my account because I want my contacts to be updated. So I'll just test that to make sure it's working. It turns green and we are good to go. So now we click save and continue. And we're off to the races. So now this is where the magic is, right? Because Acuity has collected data, and this data is useful to me if I can get it somewhere useful. If I can't get it anywhere useful, then I'm stuck just copying and pasting and using my time or asking my firm manager or my secretary to do it, and I'm paying them $25 an hour or whatever I'm paying for somebody else to cut and paste, right? So now we're going to take this very valuable data from my scheduler in Acuity and we're going to create a new contact. So Office is telling me, here's the data when I create a new contact or when I search for a contact. I need the first name. Now, all I did was I clicked on this drop-down menu right here, and that pulls up for me everything that Acuity has. And now I can match these things. So, hey, Acuity has got a first name entry. Perfect. Now let's take a look at the Acuity data for the last name. There it is. Great. So that's what's going to go in as my new contact, or that's the name it's going to search for. So if you have somebody who's spelling their name wrong or using a different name today, you will create a duplicate contact because it's not going to match up. But 9 out of 10 times people know how to spell their name and it's going to be just fine. So now here is where the option to create an Office 365 contact occurs. It's looking for the contact, and yes, I want it to make one if it doesn't exist. So now you can see, because I checked that box, it's now showing me additional options that I need to fill out. So here we go. I'm going to kind of blow through this really quick, and you can see exactly how this works. Match up the first name, match up the last name, match up the email address. Now, if I had a second email address on my intake form, I could just put that there. If there was some sort of third email address option, I could put that there. These are all Microsoft options, but my Acuity doesn't collect that data. So now title, I could maybe add that to my appointment scheduling. I could ask them to tell me their title, but that's probably a little bit of a pain in the butt. I do have an intake form, but it wasn't filled out right for that one. So the rest of these, now this is where it's not 100% perfect. We're going to pick business phone, home phone, mobile phone. I don't necessarily know what phone number they're giving me in Acuity, but since I'm mostly meeting with professionals, I'm going to go ahead and assume that their phone number is a business phone number. And I can always update my contact card later if I find out that that's not right, but at least the contact in Outlook has been totally created, and all I will have to do is fix it later if there's some update to be made. Now, I could even file as. There's lots and lots of options. If I was asking for, full registration information with their street address and everything, I could really, really go deep on the contact creation. But the reality of online scheduling is it's already enough information for me to be asking their full name, phone number, and email. So I'm not going to be getting all of this information into my contact card. which is just fine because I'm very happy that it will be created automatically, and the next time I go to call or email them, my smartphone will know, my laptop will know, my desktop will know. Everywhere that I go, I will have a contact card for them, and it will be very easy to just simply add address information when I get it. I could even automate the updating of their address at some point, because I could find that contact and then I could create a Zap that adds their address. And maybe at a future date I will do that. Okay, so now it's just telling me that there's an unfinished step in this Zap and that I need to finish it. And so I'm going to fetch and continue, which is essentially just the test step for the action. So here I'm going to click on the blue button. It says my test was successful, and I could even view my contact just to make sure that everything went in fine. So the display name is going to be Jane Smith, business phone is this, email address is here, first name, full name, it's got it. It's got it and it looks good. Okay, so I'm happy with this, and now it's going to create a contact when it can't find one, which automates many minutes of my life and makes everything a lot easier in my world. So I'm going to click finish, and it just is going to ask me if I'm ready to turn on my Zap. Now, maybe for some reason I'm not ready to turn on my Zap. That's fine. It'll still be in the dashboard and I'll be able to find it again. So if I was like just playing with this and I'm not really sure I want it to run, or I'm doing something a little bit experimental, I might just leave it off until I'm ready to turn it on. But in this case, I can just go ahead and turn it on. Now it's on and it's working. And then I have the options to either see it on my dashboard or make another Zap. So as you can see, this was super easy. I don't know jack shit about APIs or how they work, and I don't need to. Zapier has already figured that out for me and allowed me to do this in a way that's very user-friendly and very easy and very intuitive. There really is no excuse for you not to just start creating simple automations and get started with this. I guarantee if you start a free account and you set up a few Zaps and you see how easy it is and how much time it will save you, those things will start to grow in your mind. You will develop a mentality where you're constantly seeing things that could be automated and getting ideas for new Zaps. And you will be doing something that's really persnickety and annoying and small, and you'll think, I bet I could create a Zap to do this. Or you will wish that you had some sort of like data point, and then you'll say, you know what, I bet I could create a Zap to do this. So I'm encouraging you, please get out there and try it. If you're interested in learning more from me, you can subscribe to my channel. You can come to my website, which is www.hackyourpractice.lawyer. hackyourpractice.lawyer. Sign up for my email list, and I will send you all sorts of goodies and information about using Zapier and other things to improve your lawyer life. So enjoy. I hope this video was helpful for you, and I will see you on the flip side.